ACC basketball, January 3rd, 2:30 January 3rd. It's Georgia Tech at Notre Dame. I know we got a lot of Notre Dame fans out there. For the full schedule of our ACC basketball, go to WBBZ-TV. Vic Carucci in studio, and Vic is now back covering the Bills for the Buffalo News. But real quick, Vic, you were covering the Browns, Johnny Manziel, just a horrible, start.
Yeah.
But, there's been a lot of talk. I mean, do you think there's been way too much focus on the disappointing start he's had as a rookie, just one game?
For sure, because, and I'm not surprised in the least by that. He's a polarizing figure nationally. He was obviously a very polarizing figure in Cleveland. I mean, from the time he arrived there, and I was in New York at the time he was drafted, and was dealing with that, and then through the whole offseason and the antics where he was on the blow-up Swan with a bottle of whatever, probably Diet Coke or something in his hand.
I'm sure
maybe it wasn't, but some adult beverage. And to the extent that, he wasn't serious enough or focused enough and took a lot of hits for that. So there were a lot of people waiting to say, I told you so. I'm not one of those people, although he wouldn't have been my pick. I don't see his game translating well to the NFL. I don't think Sunday necessarily said, his first start said that it will never happen, can happen. I think some adjustments obviously can and should be made, but there are limitations to what he can do. I don't expect him to have a great NFL career. I really don't, but I don't know that every outing he's going to have is going to be like that 30-0 loss to Cincinnati.
I'm going to change gears now. I'm going to catch you completely unaware. Usually we prep you before the show. It's like the Tonight Show. We take him in the green room. He gives me the questions he wants me to ask him. No, I want to talk about the fact that it was more or less, it came out yesterday, that Steve Christie is recovering from cancer. He's in remission. Our good friend Jim Kelly was on the Fred Jackson Show last Monday. He looked terrific and really sounded strong. You are a cancer survivor.
Right.
Tell me, and I'm happy to say I don't have that experience. People in my family do. You know what I mean.
I want nobody
I know
to have that
it is a test of character. It's a test of strength. Coming out the other side, Vic, what does that do to a person?
I'd be lying if I said it didn't have some sort of profound effect, and it can vary depending, I think, on the individual. It does test your inner strength. It reminds you, though, of how many great friends and family you have, and the support that they bring, and how important that is. I think Jim and I compare notes a ton on this, and it does come back to that. That means more than anyone around us will ever know, to have the constant support. It's always on your mind. Steve's at a place, and God bless him, and I'm so happy that he got that great news. And I received that great news before. It's 7 years for me, so and counting. So my attitude is that I want to. You're back to normal. Sometimes it's a new normal, but that's all you strive to be, is back to whatever normal was prior to the diagnosis.
And for you, there's been a physical change. I mean, look at you. You could run a marathon now. I mean, I remember when I first met you in the 80s, you were like me, let's go have a sub, let's have a pizza. But now you're healthy, you're very conscious about what you eat. It's had change on you.
Well, for sure, but a lot of that actually was beyond, I went down the road of thinking, well, this might help avoid some sort of recurrence. But when you talk to the oncologists, the men and women of the cells, I call them, their attitude is, yeah, you can get into kind of that holistic mindset, and maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. They just want to come up with the medicine that helps you. Their attitude is nothing tops that. But I believe there are other issues that health-wise that less weight and more working out and watching what you eat can benefit. So I think it's a whole bigger picture thing.
Plus your suits fit nice.
That's the real key, is having suits fit.
Anyway, let's get back to football. But I wanted to talk about that because I know that Steve Christie was kind of keeping it quiet. He was keeping it quiet.
And everybody handles it differently.
Right.
I chose, I was going to be as public as can be about it. Jim obviously was too.
Right.
I think it's all up to the individual and whatever you're comfortable with. There is no rule or right or wrong on that.
Right. Back to football. Buffalo Bills. They've got the Raiders, and then they got the Patriots. The one nice thing about this is the fact that it is December. We're even talking about the fact that they have games now that mean something. It's been a long time in this town since that's happened.
Yeah, it has, and I think that's really the key here. The focus on will all the many scenarios, half dozen or whatever, work out well, including the Bills winning out their last two, work for them to get in the postseason? That matters, but it should matter a lot less than that they're relevant with 2 games left. And it's been a long, long time since we have had this situation with this particular football team. I think it's changed the whole mindset and approach, because what it does, I think, is internally and externally, you start looking beyond this year and seeing what you do have. And I don't think this is one of those windows that this is like an old veteran team that was just 1 or 2 pieces away to get there, and if they miss now, the window slams shut. Not at all. I think, if anything, it can lead to bigger and better things. And you're showing Doug Whaley here, the general manager, some of the moves that he's made for some of the backup people who came up big, I think merits some praise. At the same time, he's going to merit a lot of criticism for the maneuvers that have been made, including the trade up for that 4th overall pick to get Sammy Watkins and maybe pay for that.
We had a picture. Booby Dixon is no dummy. He's bear hugging the owner.
He's picking the owner up off the ground. Booby's a smart
man.
Go
past the coach. Let me go to the owner.
Go to the guy who signs the checks.
Yeah. And I'm guessing Terry Pagula probably had some X-rays taken on Monday after these 300-pound men came and embraced him. You think you see any front office changes? What's your gut tell you? My
sense is it would be hard to imagine everything staying the same when new ownership comes in with new ideas, and they have new ideas. And Terry and Kim Pagula have said to me directly, I had a chance to sit down with them around mid-season with Tim Graham from the News, and they said that they have opinions for sure about how things are going. They didn't feel the need to do anything about it at the time. I think the team was 5-3. They were still above 500, and they wanted to see how the season plays out. So I think it's going to be very interesting to watch how this all comes together, who's doing what, and do they bring in yet even a third party of sorts to sort of assess everything for them. They're not football people. They're not hockey people. They're people who own teams, and I think would defer to expertise to give them a sense of.
Vic, we're out of time, but I'm so glad you're back in Buffalo. I want you and your family to have a great Christmas.
Same to you and yours.
And all the best.
Same to you and yours.
All right. Vic Carucci will be back to wrap up all sports. Oh, and by the way, yes, Vic Carucci he does a great job for the Buffalo News, and apparently sponsored by some hot blonde with a nice T-shirt. Vic, what kind of website are you writing for? That's the Buffalo News site. Just an ad, paid ad. We'll be back. Say goodnight right after this.